The graphic that I found on Facebook today, my friends, says it all. I'll read it to you. Number one, in a sexual species, there are two sexes, male and female. Number two, 99.93% of humans have XX or XY sex chromosomes. The rest is mutation. Number three, being one sex but thinking you're the other is a psychological disorder. Number four, mandating a widespread enabling of a psychological disorder is sociopathy. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook and YouTube and Tumblr and in the book Riell Truth Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number is 877-254-7524. As always, let's hit it. Item from Fox News. Presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump used the word rape Wednesday evening to describe alleged sexual misconduct by former President Bill Clinton. Trump made the comment during an interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity. By the way, my friends, you'll be hearing part of that interview today. The real estate mogul was answering questions about an unflattering story published this past weekend by the New York Times involving his relationships with women when he turned his attention to Bill Clinton. Quote, by the way, it's not like the worst things. Okay, Trump said. You look at what Bill Clinton's gone through with all the problems and all the things that he's done, unquote. Hannity went on to question whether the newspaper would interview women including Juanita Broderick, Paula Jones, and Kathleen Willey. All three have accused Bill Clinton of sexual misconduct. In one case, it's about exposure. In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will, Hannity said. And rape, Trump responded. And rape, Hannity repeated. Unquote. My friends, Roger Stone has a book called The Clintons' War on Women. I urge you to get a copy and read it because he chronicles in depth what he alleges were sexual assaults and rape committed by former President Bill Clinton, going all the way back to when he was governor of Arkansas. Well, he's been in the news lately because of his association with this guy Epstein, the convicted pedophile, and the two of them spending an awful lot of time on Epstein's airplane and Epstein's mansion. Where there's smoke, there's fire, my friends. I'm not accusing Bill Clinton of anything. I have no proof, but I'll tell you that I believe everything I've read. And if Bill Clinton stinks, you can bet your bottom dollar so does his wife. Today's Riell Truth, and we'll be right back after this. Go nowhere.
Of the United States, in order to form a perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. If catastrophe strikes, will your family be prepared? Are you confident you wouldn't react in a panic? Is there one place to get all of your emergency supplies? Prepare a survival. Confidence through preparation, not panic through crisis. Prepare a Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing quality, realistic preparedness supplies at an affordable price. Go online, stop by, or 303-710343. Prepare a Survival. Piccolo's Restaurant, over 58,000 of these were accepted by keep an eye out for youngsters to play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This is from Piccolo's Restaurant. It's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166.
All right, guys, I am back. Howard Riell. The show is called Riell Truth. It's Thursday. It's the end of our broadcast week. Let's spend it profitably. Here's a piece of Sean Hannity's hour-long interview with Donald Trump in which they touch on a variety of topics, including two pieces of trash named Bill and Hillary Clinton. Let's listen in.
Special edition of Hannity Tonight. We're coming to you from Trump Tower. Tonight we'll be talking about Supreme Court justices, judicial philosophy, energy independence. We'll talk about building a wall and how do you defeat Hillary Clinton, among other things, as Donald Trump joins us for the entire hour. Congratulations. Last night, is it sinking in? Is it getting real?
Well, we're very, very close. We're very close to the delegates, and the thing that makes me most happy in the history of the Republican Party, nobody has ever gotten this many votes. So,
you still have a lot of states to go.
And we have a lot to go. So it's been such an honor. It's been a lot of fun. It must be because I do your show.
I think it's a big part of it. That's what I may agree with you.
I have a feeling.
Today was a very big day. You have a list of names.
I do.
And you had talked to me for a while now about releasing these names. Your judicial philosophy. You said you wanted originalists. You said you wanted people like Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. Tell us about this list of names.
Well, I've been having a lot of feedback from a lot of different people, and I've had, as you know, tremendous endorsements, and I'm a conservative, and I may have different views on different things, and I think I'm extremely conservative, as an example, on trade, but a conservative would say I'm not, because I don't necessarily believe only in free trade. You know what I believe on trade is good deals for the United States.
Fair trade.
Well, somebody said to me, what is your view on trade? I said, my view is good deals for the United States. It's a very simple view. And if you can call it conservative, call it whatever you want. But so with the judges, they were saying, well, what happens if he appoints the wrong judges? And what we did, and I just have it, we just took a list of judges, and I thought what I would do is put this forward, and this would be the list that I would either choose from or pick people very close in terms of the spirit and the meaning of what they represent. And of course, Justice Scalia is mentioned in here as right up front as being just one of our great judges and one of our great justices. And I came up with a list. The Federalist Society was very much involved. Various people were involved. As you know, Jeff Sessions is, to me, somebody that I have great respect for.
It's gotten very good reviews from its immediate release.
It's gotten great reviews. The people that have seen it have given it. So if you want, I will do it now. If you'd like to read them, I can read them. I hope you people aren't going to fall asleep as I read them.
No, it'll take a second.
But these are highly respected conservative people. Again, Federalist Society and others with the input. Stephen Colleton of Iowa, a man who is really an amazing person. Allison Ide of Colorado. Raymond Gruender, and Raymond is from Missouri. Thomas Hardiman of Pennsylvania. Raymond Kethledge of Michigan. Joan Larson, also of Michigan. I think I'm going to do very well, by the way, in the general election. I think we're going to do very well. Thomas Lee of Utah. William Pryor.
By the way, Thomas Lee of Utah is related to Mike Lee.
Brother, right. And Mike Lee's a great guy, and his brother is highly respected. William H. Pryor of Alabama. David Strass of somebody that a friend of mine who's a great lawyer said this is a fantastic man. David Strass of Minnesota. Diane Sykes of Wisconsin. Don Roulette of Texas. And that's your list. And we're going to either choose from this list or people very close to it in terms of their...
This is your judicial philosophy.
Yes.
You know, one of the things I think people would question, I had interviewed you a lot during this process, and you gave me very specific things. And one of the top things I would ask you often is your judicial philosophy. And you mentioned, as I said, Scalia and Thomas. They are what we call originalists,
right.
Constitutionalists.
Correct.
You are a constitutionalist.
Correct. And I want high intellect. I want great intellect. These people are all of very high intellect. They're pro-life. And so that's my list. And we are going to choose from, most likely from this list, but at a minimum, We will keep people within this general realm. And again, I have a lot of people that are conservative that really like me, love everything I stand for, but they really would like to know my view, because perhaps outside of the defense of our country, perhaps the single most important thing the next president is going to have to do is pick Supreme Court justice.
This will have an impact for generations to come.
Oh, generations. And I would say, if Hillary Clinton, who is doing very poorly in this whole rigged system that Sanders happens to be in, but if Hillary Clinton, for some reason, wins, your country will never be the same, because she's going to put disasters on the Supreme Court. So these are the.
This is interesting, because I think there might have been some people. I've talked to people on the radio show, and some people said, "Well, Donald Trump's a recent convert to conservatism." And I asked you very specific questions. For example, you say, do you want a balanced budget? You actually told me once it's immoral to steal from our kids.
Well, I do want a balanced budget. We could do it a lot quicker. I mean, I've heard people say we'll balance the budget within 20 years. I'm saying 20 years? What are you talking about? I do want a balanced budget. And you have to understand, I was born in New York, and I really started my business, I was in Brooklyn and Queens with my father, but I moved to Manhattan, and I started doing very, very well in Manhattan. And
all right, guys, we're going to pick this up because we got a commercial break coming up. The takeaway is this. All those people out there who are wetting their pants because, whoa, Donald Trump's not conservative enough. I've examined this slate of 11 candidates that he's put forward to fill the next Supreme Court seat. Each one is a rock-ribbed, rock-solid, constitutionalist, originalist, conservative judge. So put your fears to bed, my friends. The conservative president you want is here. He's Donald Trump, and as the numbers are just showing today, he's already stomping Hillary Clinton into the ground. He will defeat her handily, which makes you wonder about the sanity and the honesty of, remember John Kasich, who lost every state primary except his own, but said he was the only one who could beat Hillary Clinton? I guess Kasich's kind of a doofus, right? Well, maybe that explains why he only won one primary, and that was his own state. Trump is the guy. Real simple. I love his nominees for the Supreme Court, and we'll love more of his policy as it comes out. We'll take a break and we'll come back. Stay tuned.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chicken? Now you have a source for certified organic, no GMO, no soy chicken feed. HappyHens.biz can even deliver. You can call me, Tim, at 303-829-5948, or go to HappyHens.biz for pricing and ingredients. At HappyHens.biz, we love HappyHens.biz. Or call us at 303-829-5948.
Hospital. I mean, help and confused as to the many different brands and prices of the same herbal supplement. You want to buy the cheapest, the quality is less. So you buy the most expensive. Then the cheapest base. Herbal supplements are all manufactured in our Wheat Ridge, Colorado plant at 4565 Complete Street, using the highest quality herbs that sourced from all over the world. Our 150 different herbal supplements are the most potent, safest in America. Our guarantee is your money back at the time limit. Just return the bottle into your full, no questions asked. So when you come to our new location, look for our new name and give us this help. Or call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372.
Forever. The plan that started all the generations. This nation is going to do the people he has come has been helped here. Psalm 33 verse 10.
All right, guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. As I have pointed out in the past, there are many ways to get to know someone, to get to understand him. One way is to see who hates him. Another is to see who's afraid of him. So who's afraid of Donald Trump? Well, an awful lot of people are afraid of Donald Trump. One of those parties is the Chinese government, because it's been having its way with the American economy for decades, and that's about to stop, thanks to soon-to-be President Donald Trump. Here's Roger Stone. He's the guy I mentioned, wrote that book about the Clintons that I want you to read, The Clintons' War on Women. Go to Amazon and buy it. Here's Roger Stone talking to Alex Jones on Infowars.com, telling him that he has met with Chinese diplomats and they are terrified of Donald Trump. Let's listen.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Alex, great to be back with you.
Well, where should we start?
Well, let's start with the Trump campaign's new pollster, Tony Fabrizio. Tony Fabrizio is someone I have literally known since my early 20s. He may be the most talented and gifted, but most importantly, the most combative strategist and survey researcher in the Republican Party. The truth is, Tony Fabrizio is far more than a pollster. A pollster is just a guy who takes samples of public opinion. Fabrizio has an uncanny ability to fashion that strategy. He's a very aggressive, in-your-face street fighter. He's perfect for the campaign to take down the Clintons. Donald Trump spoke to Fabrizio 3 years ago when he was briefly considering running for president then. This is a major, major coup for the Trump campaign. Now, Fabrizio was with Rand Paul. His personal politics are very libertarian. He's exactly what the doctor ordered in terms of helping Donald Trump refine his attack strategy on the Clintons and helping him define what the key issues are going to be that decide this election. It's a 10 strike getting him on board. I'm very excited about it.
Well, I remember you 6 months ago telling me about Fabrizio and just how key he is to winning this thing. Run us through the waterfront. I mean, folks want to know all things Trump, how the campaign's going, what the next shoe to drop is, what the enemy's up to, what Hillary's up to.
Well, as you know, and I'm sure you've heard it, Alex, I heard it a lot today. Donald Trump was meeting today with Henry Kissinger. I read on Infowars.com the other day that he met privately with James A. Baker III. Now, I knew he was meeting with Jim Baker, but I didn't know that was a public matter. And there are some in the Trump revolution who are scratching their heads and saying, well, wait a minute, is Trump being co-opted by the establishment? Is he being taken over by the very people who've destroyed this country? And I must tell you, I've known Trump for almost 40 years. His views on trade, his views on NATO, his views on Wall Street have not changed in 30 years. He is his own man. And he's playing the establishment. He's playing them. So in the wider population, Henry Kissinger is viewed as a sage. Alex, you and I probably view him more as a war criminal.
Absolutely.
But to the American people, he's some kind of an expert on foreign policy. Believe me, Donald Trump, I'm sure, is seeing Henry Kissinger as a courtesy. I'm sure it'll be a polite meeting, but no one is going to get Donald Trump to change his strongly held views on immigration, on trade, on war, on the war in Iraq, which he recognized early was a mistake. I had lunch today with a journalist from the New York Times. She affirms that she interviewed Trump before the beginning of the Iraq War, very beginning, and that he was unquestionably opposed to the war.
Sure, you wrote that in his book at the time. Well, I mean, let me expand on this. I said the same thing you're saying yesterday. I hadn't talked to you about your views on it yet, but I mean, it's the same because it's true. He has to at least talk to people. He has to at least be friendly on the surface, or they will try to kill him. I mean, these are gangsters. And he met with Haas, and then Haas badmouthed him a week later because the Trump got more nationalistic. And so that's the reason they're so scared of him. But absolutely. It ended up being in a Houston news that he was meeting with Baker, so we ran the story, because we're going to cover whatever Trump does. But I said on air, I don't think Trump's betraying us. It's his actions. I hope he meets with these people. Just like he says he'd meet with foreign dictators, try to get them to change their mind. That's how he wants to try to influence them. I mean, we ought to be glad this is happening.
Well, in fact, I don't think he wants to rush to war with the Chinese or the Russians. I think he would usher in an entire new era of negotiations, but hard-headed negotiations. Negotiations where the best interests of the United States...
Sure, a president that wouldn't sell us out, a president would make good deals.
But I want to reassure those people at the grassroots, because you have his naming a fellow from Goldman Sachs as his finance chairman. Remains to be seen whether that gentleman can raise the $1 billion that Donald Trump is going to need. You have him meeting with Baker, who is an expert on the institution. Somebody who was in that meeting told me that 80% of the discussion was Trump questioning Baker about how Ronald Reagan ran his administration, how he ran his presidency, what Reagan's day was like. So it sounds to me like Donald Trump benefited from that meeting. The Henry Kissinger thing I view as a touchstone. But anyone who thinks Kissinger could talk Trump out of his views doesn't understand.
Absolutely. He's meeting with Kissinger so he can say, look, I talked to the supposed foreign policy wonk that the media worships.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I don't think that there is much value.
Well, I mean, look, my audience gets it. They understand to beat Hillary, he's not going to have to compromise. He's not going to break eggs. He's going to follow the policies he said. That's why they're so scared of him. But he's going to have to raise money. He's going to have to get his hands dirty a little bit because this is a dirty business, period. I mean, he says, I don't like the system of buying off politicians, but it's legal. It's what I have to do business. I want to change it. I don't like making my ties in Mexico or China. It's cost prohibitive. You can't do it here. He goes, okay, I got hats made in America. They're twice the price. Buy them. You know, I mean, I get it. I've been through it myself. I understand it. I tell people, we have shirts and hats made in America, and they're $30, and we have shirts and hats made in Mexico, they're $15. So, you know, you make your choice, and people want the $15 ones. I mean, I get it.
Well, and let's go a step further. It's CYA money. So the Wall Street types, the K Street types, they are going to cover their derriere. I want a president who is smart enough not to turn that money down. It's like the question that I keep asking Trump, how much did you pay in taxes? And his answer is, as little as I possibly can. That's the guy I want.
Yeah, I hope his IRS stuff comes out and he's really not trying to pay the IRS. That's what kind of thing I want to see.
Well, I don't think he's broken any laws, but
I know, but I mean, none of it goes around the country as Reagan's commission found with Congress. It all goes to the debt. It keeps the economy in the toilet. The elites are offshore and don't pay tax. So, I mean, look, Warren Buffett tries to avoid tax and says raise them. Trump tries to avoid taxes and says cuts them. I love that.
Day before yesterday, I had a delegation from the Chinese government contact me. They wanted to have lunch. I went to lunch with a bunch of diplomats. It was very pleasant. They wanted to know one thing and one thing only. Is Donald Trump really going to cut the corporate tax rate of the United States below that of China? They are petrified, Alex, that he's going to do this because they know exactly what will happen. The giant U.S. corporations doing business in China will all return to the United States to expand here, to hire here, to create jobs here. And that is, of course, not in the best interests of the Chinese. I like the idea of a president who puts the interests of the United States first. I think that's what the voters find most refreshing about Donald Trump.
Well, that's incredible. So they are just horrified. But look, it's a level playing field, and he likes to make deals that are fair because he wants to have business back and forth. When you talk to Trump, I mean, I know he's put some specifics out. What would be fair? Just to lower it to the point, maybe, of China? And then to do things like make them raise their currency?
We are currently at 35% as the corporate tax rate. China is at 25%. We could drop our rate to 20, or even better, 15, and you would suck all those companies out of China and back to the United States.
That's right.
Now you have also, which is far more effective than tariffs would be. You also have his program for inversion, bring back about $2 trillion that is sitting offshore untaxed to be taxed at a fair rate. And then Trump is the only presidential candidate who's recognized that there's almost $1 trillion sitting in the federal checking accounts, which has never been swept, that is unbudgeted. So before you start cutting social programs, let's go get that money. Trump has the most dynamic and really the most pro-growth.
That's right, and he won't shut down another 1,000 plants like Obama did, which will try to keep us competitive on energy. I mean, he will literally, all he's doing is going to take Count Dracula off our neck. Just taking the vampire off, we could get better. But we have to get Count Dracula off, and globalism is Count Dracula.
Agreed. Now, you asked me about obstacles for the campaign. I do want to warn your viewers and your listeners about this Great America PAC. This is run by Ed Rollins, who actually works for Teneo, which is, he's a senior advisor there. Teneo is a Bill and Hillary Clinton connected lobbying firm that paid Bill Clinton about $2 million a year. Rollins' cohort in Great America PAC is a fellow named Jesse Benton.
Oh boy.
He's a convicted felon, convicted just last week of bribing people in Iowa to support Ron Paul. He drove Ron Paul and Rand Paul's campaigns into the toilet. He is devoid of any political skill. This particular PAC, Great America PAC, has a $600,000 debt on the books. And
that's the one I've seen in the news that's kind of acting like it represents Trump, and so...
Yeah, I mean, Rollins, who's never been a Trump supporter, keeps now...
Well, I mean, you even heard our guest in here where they're contacting him, acting like they represent Trump, to put him on Trump's advisory board, and Trump is actually in the news with his lawyers saying, don't give money to this group.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a scam, and I'm sure if you're like me and you're on every pro-conservative and pro-liberty mailing list, you're getting inundated with these appeals. Don't fall for it. These folks said they were going to spend $1 million to help Trump. They wrote $1 million check to a media buyer, but then the New York Times determined that they only spent $100,000 on ads in the primaries. So this is a fraud, and the hard-earned dollars of individual mom-and-pop donors.
Sure. Well, we know we have to also watch out for straw men with, like, not this group, but other groups, where they put out fake Trump supporters and then have them say outrageous stuff. I mean, that's what type of dirty tricks do you expect next? Because you said the woman thing, the mafia thing, they've done all that now. The fake lawsuits. What else is coming?
Well, this New York Times piece, I think, is a watershed. And I give great credit to the Trump campaign because they were able to roll out a number of the women who were quoted in the story, but who were quoted out of context. And in many cases, the Times divined what these women were thinking. Oh, she felt degraded when Trump said, why don't you put on a bathing suit? These women didn't feel degraded at all. I think the mainstream media here, the New York Times particularly, has made a mistake, Alex, because they've now set a standard. If we're going to examine the conduct of Donald Trump towards women in the 70s...
We've got to look at Bill Clinton and the pedo plane.
We got to look at Bubba and his serial rapes, his assaults, his exposing himself to women, and then we come to the question of the credibility of his accusers. I believe every one of these women, Juanita Broderick, Kathleen Willey, Paula Jones, Kristen Zurcher, Sandra Allen James, and many others, every one of them is more credible than Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's because Hillary Clinton isn't credible at all. In fact, she's an incredible pig. So yeah, my thanks to Roger Stone again. Roger Stone's book is called The Clintons' War on Women. Borrow it, buy it, but read it, and read it now before the election, because if you end up voting for Hillary Clinton and then read the book, you will kick yourself in the ass forever. Item from RasmussenReports.com. Donald Trump has now grown his lead over Hillary Clinton in Rasmussen Report's first weekly White House Watch survey. Trump earns 42% support to Clinton's 37%. Stop! My friends, the election is not till November, and Donald Trump is already kicking Hillary Clinton's ass. We'll be back.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chicken? Now you have a source for certified organic, no GMO, no soy chicken.
You look at these.
Thank you, Senator Roberson, for supporting equal rights for crime victims.
You look at Iraq, that's like Harvard for terror. Welcome back to Hannity as we continue for what is now the Trump War Room within inside of Trump Tower. Donald Trump is with us for the hour. I watched your daughter Ivanka this morning, and she had to say, my dad's not... You know, they talk about women and the... with all of the problems and all of the things that he's prominently in that. This is referring to a New York.
Design system and part for futures. With more than 20 years of specialized experience and business, let us know what your public concerns or goals are. We just by phone or internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303. And the work between such and both of us, and we become the glory and the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. For the witness of him and cried out, saying, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the government. This, the American News Network. Really, it is all, whether it's a toy for a needy child, care package for military members, or giving the gift of life up to their life, you can make a difference if you're the effect of life.
My friends, it's still Howard Riell, still Riell Truth, and unless I'm mistaken, it's still Thursday. Let's go back to Sean Hannity and another segment of his interview with Donald Trump.
Welcome back to Hannity as we continue for what is now the Trump War Room within inside of Trump Tower. Donald Trump is with us for the hour. I watched your daughter Ivanka this morning, and she had to say, my dad's not a groper. Now, this is referring to a New York Times hit piece. I have in the last 3 days interviewed 3 people that know you well, 2 that were featured prominently in that piece. We have Roanne Brewer Lane, Carrie Prejean, and a woman that actually came from war-torn Bosnia that worked for you and was a vice president for you, Sonata Adzal. Right. 3 women. They were absolutely livid at the New York Times piece. We now discovered that this particular writer had been tweeting negative things about you. This is supposed to be the paper of record. 20 pages, and it's now been completely debunked. Does that anger you?
Well, first of all, I have to thank those women, Roanne and Carrie and all of them, because they were written about.
And the girl from Utah, too.
And usually, and the girl from Utah is just, they said I kissed her on the lip, I guess in front of her parents, with thousands of people. And now she's come out and said, this is crazy. By the way, it's not like the worst things, okay? You look at what Clinton's gone through with all of the problems and all of the things that he's done. But it was so, to read this piece on the front page of the New York Times, which was, I think, their most read story in the last year, according to what they say, and to have these young women come out and say, that didn't happen, that's not what we said, that's not what we it was the intent. And I was so furious that that's true, because there's nobody that respects women more than I do, Sean. You know that. And I treat women with respect, and we all have fun, we all have good times, and I'm also in the entertainment business, and certain things, as an example, they have me making a statement about we're going to essentially stop them, or we're going to say something very nasty. I was talking about either China or Mexico. I was talking about one of the countries because they've been ripping us off. That was their punchline for this commercial, this phony commercial paid for by Wall Street, by the way, I have to tell you, paid for out of a super PAC. And they put a commercial on about the women.
They're going to spend $130 million.
Yeah, but just so you understand, the main punchline wasn't about women. So they put it in like it was about women, with a blank. They put it in like it was about women. Now I guess they have to do a retraction. These are dishonest people. These are really dishonest people. Nobody respects women.
A retraction from the New York Times?
We are already talking to the New York Times. The New York Times is very upset because it turned out to be a total con job. The piece was a con job. And, it's one thing, it's inside the paper, because that happens to me all the time, especially with the Times, and frankly, I could mention plenty of others. But, if you're a Republican conservative, it's very, very hard to get good press. That I can tell you.
I speak from experience.
No, I'm telling you, it's really unfair. But this was a con job. But just think of it. These women, instead of just saying, oh, that's too bad, who cares? They were incensed that they were portrayed the way they were portrayed. And all of them got up and said, we respect Donald Trump, we really like Donald Trump. They did absolutely nothing wrong. And they're writing. Now, here's the thing. Anybody reading that story, Sean, they make me look bad.
But Harry and particularly Roanne both said they purposefully manipulated what they were saying, and that they did it on purpose because they had said just the opposite.
I thought it was so amazing because I saw Carrie on your show, and Roanne has been all over. And I didn't speak to her specifically, okay, because I didn't think it would be good if I called her to thank her. I didn't want to do that and let this go by, and I will absolutely. But I will tell you, to think what they did, they put themselves out on the line to do this for me. And I haven't spoken to them in many years, so I just have such respect for them. But it just shows you, I'll tell you, it's been a disaster for the New York Times. Because the New York Times is a whole big con job.
But this is going to be the campaign. The Clintons are known for being very dirty.
But the good thing about this sets the table. This sort of sets the stage. People have seen this. People have seen Carrie. They've seen Roanne. They've seen others now that are coming forward that were mentioned in that story, which frankly wasn't even that bad. If you want to know the truth, it's not like I hope that people that haven't read it, 20 pages print. Oh no, but I mean, in one case, I don't know. It's like minor stuff. I said to one of the women, I said, don't eat, you shouldn't have a piece of candy. Okay, that was,
I tell my kids that all the time.
I would compare that against Clinton, okay, what Clinton's done.
What about what Clinton's done? How big an issue should that be in the campaign? For example, I looked at the New York Times. Are they going to interview Juanita Broderick? Are they going to interview Paula Jones? Are they going to interview Kathleen Willey? In one case, it's about exposure. In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will.
And rape. And big settlements, massive settlements.
$850,000 for Paula Jones.
Lots of other things. And impeachment for lying.
Smearing, besmirchment.
And losing your law license. He lost his law license, okay? Couldn't practice law. And you don't read about this on Clinton.
Let me ask you.
Now, the New York Times, and if you look at Stephanopoulos, these are like the pipe organs for Hillary Clinton. Stephanopoulos, I get on the show the other day, it started, I couldn't believe it, and I actually said to him, look, obviously you're representing your, he gave a lot of money to the foundation, he never told anybody, but you look at some of the people, the dishonesty, I'll tell you what, I'm in a pretty tough business, real estate, I meet some tough people, but I've never seen lies and deception like I see in not only with the people and not only with the politicians, but when you're in politics, it is a deceiving, it's really a pretty rough profession. And I will say this, the political press, worse than anything else, is the political press dishonesty.
Exit question, would you consider suing them?
Well, they're talking to us right now, so we'll see what happens. But they know. I think the Times actually, look, they got caught in a very bad situation.
When we come back, we'll continue from Trump Tower and the Trump war room, political war room. It's Hannity on the road, Donald Trump for the full hour. We'll continue. We'll talk about Hillary Clinton when we come back.
My friends, Trump and Hannity alluded slightly to what a piece of garbage Bill Clinton is, and so is his wife. His wife knew everything he was doing. His wife didn't care because he was her meal ticket. She couldn't accomplish anything on her own, would never get anywhere on her own merits or lack of merits. Whatever she's gotten in her career, she's gotten because her last name is Clinton. So she wasn't about to throw him under the bus until now. Because now that all this stuff is coming up in the public discourse, we have this from today's Daily Mail. Hillary Clinton dramatically declined to defend her husband's honor today, hours after Donald Trump linked the ex-president to rape. The Democratic frontrunner angrily claimed Trump was fishing for her to get into a fight at his level. Asked by CNN's Chris Como, do you ever feel compelled to defend your honor, the honor of your husband? Clinton said, no, not at all, unquote. So Hillary Clinton will throw her own husband under the bus. Doesn't feel like she needs to defend her own husband because she wants to be president. If Bill Clinton needs to go up in flames, she doesn't care. She wants to be president. If she has to step on you and take away your rights and your money and trash this country, she doesn't care. She wants to be president. And that's all that matters because that's all she is. Without her ambition and her ugliness and her viciousness, she's nothing. We'll take a break. Riell Truth will continue. Stay tuned.
This is sort of in the bowels of the building, inside.
You do it well, but I really have a group of
Is there one or two that really are in your mind?
Or three, maybe.
Maybe three that are really up there. And Donald Trump's with us for the hour.
Our independence. We have extensive experience with utility interconnected systems of data capability model, letting all of the scale power. Everybody powers a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, design systems, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience and workforce, let us know what your power concerns are. Reach us by phone or the internet. 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or book to gripplanesolar.com. Now this is the testimony of John, recently vice president. So to ask him, who are you? He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, I am not the Messiah. And they asked him, what then? Are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you the prophet? And he answered, no. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19.
All right, guys, welcome back to Riell Truth. Let's listen to just a little bit more of Sean Hannity on Fox News interviewing our next president, Donald Trump. Here we go.
All right. Everyone's wondering who's on Donald Trump's short list for VP. You got to give us a hint. Give us something.
Look, I have 5 or 6 people I really like, I respect. I've gotten along with them. I think it's very important that we get along, but I don't want to mention any names. It's too soon. I'm going to announce, in terms of vice president, we'll announce at the convention. I really hope to be able to keep it secret. I know you'll be calling every day trying to... That's your job, and you do it well. But I really have a group of...
Is there one or two that really are in your mind?
Or three, maybe.
Maybe three that are really up there.
That I really think...
And you want somebody that's, well, you said, connected to
I
Washington.
want probably, and we have a couple of other alternatives, but I want somebody ideally who's very political, who's very strong with getting legislation passed. I'll do great with our trade deals and with our business and with all of that, and we're going to make our country rich again, and we're going to make our country strong again. But I want somebody that can deal with Congress, can deal with the Senate, can deal with our Congress people, so that we can get something passed. You know, Obama signs his executive orders all day long because he can't get along with anybody. It's not the way it's supposed to work, as you understand.
You're not a conventional candidate. This has not been a conventional campaign in any way. I asked you the last time you were on about a potential team of rivals. Look at the people. Rick Perry endorsed you on my show. Bobby Jindal. Jan Brewer. What about announcing some other positions? Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense.
We may do that.
Homeland Security.
Some of the people on that list, not all, would be fantastic when given the right. I mean, I've seen Rudy. Rudy's been a fan for a long time. Newt has been incredible. There's no lack of ideas coming out of Newt Gingrich.
They come 24/7.
He's a great guy.
Let me go through the scandals, because you said about Hillary, she's totally controlled by Wall Street. You've got the Clinton Global Initiative. Literally, they're funneling money to a friend. That broke. You obviously have the email server scandal. You've got the Benghazi scandal. You have the abuse of women scandal. She said that she's going to appoint Bill Clinton to run the economy. Isn't that the job of the president?
Bill Clinton is the one that signed NAFTA. In the history of our country, that's been the worst trade deal ever.
Isn't that her
What
job?
that has done to this country, that has cleaned out our factories. I mean, hey look, I've just gone through New York. We won in landslides in New York and Maryland and Pennsylvania and Connecticut and all of these places. And I've toured them because, I wanted their votes and they were all great. They have been cleaned out, 50% down with manufacture, almost every one of them, 45 to 50% down. These companies have moved to Mexico, they've moved to different places. NAFTA is a disaster. It was Bill Clinton's deal. He's the one that signed it. And for him to be involved with the economy is a joke, okay? It's a joke. Now, people didn't see the effects until later, because NAFTA took effect a little bit later after he was gone. NAFTA's probably one of the worst deals we've ever signed in this country from the standpoint of economic development or jobs.
It seems like she almost wants to run with him. But let me ask a more important question. The Clinton Foundation, beyond funneling money to a friend labeled by the Secret Service Energizer, special friend of Bill's, but a more important issue. You talk about abuse of women. You've talked about their personal lives. You talked about the smears money from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia doesn't let women drive. They can't vote. They can't go out in public without a male relative. They have to get permission to go to school or work, and women are told what to wear. Now, I've never been able to find a quote of Hillary, the Clinton, women there.
But you have other cases, and you have many other cases in there, and they talk about women and the abuse of women, and forget about them a lot of their money. So, and what did all of these? Here's the big question: what did all of these places where they get millions of dollars for speeches? What did they get? And they got a lot, and that, and everybody knows.
So in other words, they're buying influence.
Well, the press isn't covering it. I mean, to me, that's possibly, I don't know, the email to me, when you talk about, did all of these countries and others get in return for paying millions of dollars for speeches? They got a lot.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. More Donald Trump. When we come back, believe it or not, the president threatening to veto a bill that would allow the victims of 9.
My friends, let me say this about receiving millions of dollars for speeches. I'm open to it. If anyone out there would like to pay me millions of dollars, or even only hundreds of thousands of dollars to give a speech, I'm yours. Item from WorldNet Daily. Just when liberals thought it was safe to start identifying themselves as such, an acclaimed veteran psychiatrist is making the case that the ideology motivating them is actually a mental disorder. Based on strikingly irrational beliefs and emotions, modern liberals relentlessly undermine the most important principles on which our freedoms were founded, says Dr. Lyle Rossiter, author of the new book, The Liberal Mind, The Psychological Causes of Political Madness. Like spoiled, angry children, they rebel against the normal responsibilities of adulthood and demand that a parental government meet their needs from cradle to grave. While political activists on the other side of the spectrum have made similar observations, Rossiter boasts professional credentials and a life virtually free of activism and links to the vast right-wing conspiracy. For more than 35 years, he's diagnosed and treated more than 1,500 patients as a board-certified clinical psychiatrist and examined more than 2,700 civil and criminal cases as a board-certified forensic psychiatrist. He received his medical and psychiatric training at the University of Chicago. Rossiter says the kind of liberalism being displayed by both Barack Obama and his Democrat primary opponent Hillary Clinton can only be understood as a psychological disorder. Quote, a social scientist who understands human nature will not dismiss the vital roles of free choice, voluntary cooperation, and moral integrity as liberals do, he says. A political leader who understands human nature will not ignore individual differences in talent, drive, personal appeal, and work ethic, and then try to impose economic and social equality on the population as liberals do. And a legislator who understands human nature will not create an environment of rules which overregulate and overtax the nation's citizens, corrupts their character, and reduces them to wards of the state as liberals do. Dr. Rossiter says the liberal agenda preys on weakness and feelings of inferiority in the population by creating and reinforcing perceptions of victimization, by satisfying infantile claims to entitlement, indulgence, and compensation, by augmenting primitive feelings of envy, rejecting the sovereignty of the individual, subordinating him to the will of the government. Quote, the roots of liberalism and its associated madness can be clearly identified by understanding how children develop from infancy to adulthood and how distorted development produces the irrational beliefs of the liberal mind, he says. My friends, we'll take a break. We'll wrap things up for the week here on Riell Truth. Stay tuned. Guys, as you can see, I'm letting this video go longer than usual. I want to see if we can reach the full hour. If I don't have to cut this off at 37 minutes, then that's even better. So we'll see. If you're still hearing my voice at the end of 60 minutes, you'll know it worked. And if it doesn't go beyond 60 minutes, well, you'll never hear what I'm saying now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So stay tuned.
Instead of the government effectively created odd strength. It made too big to fail banks even bigger. Well, put in your deposit over at risk. I'm Joe Gates, the CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Look over, visit us at home.com or call us at 800-951-0593. And of his fullness, he hath called us peace, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen him at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16. We, the people of the United States, in order to have a perfect unity, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, the blessing of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution
And we are almost done for the week. Let's squeeze in a little more news item from departed.co. Women who wear burqas and full face veils in public in a Swiss state could be fined up to $9,000 under new rules imposed after a local referendum. Female Muslims will be banned from wearing the burqa in shops, restaurants, or public buildings in the Italian-speaking canton of Ticino. The local government in the southern Swiss state approved the ban after a referendum in September 2013 saw 2 in 3 voters backing the move. According to the local, the Ticino government had wanted to ban burqas and niqabs, as well as masks worn by demonstrators and balaclavas. unquote. My friends, don't ask me what a balaclava is. I couldn't care less. But banning the burqa is only the second best strategy. The first best is banning Islam. Item from NPR.org. A handful of scientists around the United States are trying to do something some people find disturbing. Make embryos that are part human, part animal. The researchers hope these embryos, known as chimeras, could eventually help save the lives of people with a wide range of diseases. One way would be to use chimera embryos to create better animal models to study how human diseases happen and how they progress. Perhaps the boldest hope is to create farm animals that have human organs that could be transplanted into terminally ill patients. But some scientists and bioethicists worry the creation of these interspecies embryos crosses the line. You're getting into unsettling ground that I think is damaging to our sense of humanity, says Stuart Newman, professor of cell biology and anatomy at the New York Medical College. The experiments are so sensitive that the National Institutes of Health has imposed a moratorium on funding them while officials explore the ethical issues they raise, unquote. My friends, you've read the Bible as I have. After God creates the world ex nihilo, out of nothing, the process that follows throughout Genesis is a process of division. The sky versus the ground, the water versus the land, male versus female, day versus night. It's all about division, and these are divisions in the very fabric, the very skeleton of existence. They're the way Hashem, God, intends the world to operate. So when we fly in the face of that, and we begin doing things that are just plain unnatural, and I'm not talking about the bathrooms at Target, where we do things like splice together human and animal genes to form human-animal embryos, we have gone far over the line. We're into the stuff of science fiction, the island of Dr. Moreau. It's obscene, it's unnatural, it's ungodly, and it's unholy, and it's wrong. And whatever benefits some people say might come out of it, we have a teaching, a rule, a law in Judaism. You can't do something good if it's based in something bad. So, for example, I can't steal money from that person in order to give charity to that person. It doesn't work. God won't approve it. Now, I'm all for advances in medical science, but creating human-animal hybrids? Absolutely not. Absolutely forbidden, absolutely disgraceful. Go online and follow this story and get involved. Talk to your politicians. Tell them that anytime they have a chance to vote against this kind of research, you want them to. Because there are some limits that are sacrosanct. Limits that God himself has put in place, and this is chief among them. If we're going to dilute and pollute the human animal, then we're nothing. Then we indeed have sunk to the level of the common animal. We're done. I'll be back on Monday, my friends, with more Riell Truth. Until then, promise me something. Promise that you'll stay safe, that you'll stay healthy, and that you'll stay angry. Hasta luego.